Decentralized, immutable, proof-based technology is to artificial intelligence what Shiva is to Shakti. The digital world needs grounding, needs boundaries, and a solid structure for intelligence to flow harmoniously. We are building the next generation of Shiva chains. And we have talked about trees of blockchains and MythosX and the type of cross-chain transactions that this system enables. You know by now that our systems are WebAssembly based and upgradable. And I will show you how MythosX uses a heterogeneous system of consensus algorithms. First, Mythos uses Tendermint, implemented as a finite state machine interpreted by a WasmX contract. This diagram is what runs the protocol. I change this diagram, I change the protocol. And in previous videos, I've discussed our state machine interpreter and this diagram in detail. Then, for our hierarchical tree chain that grows from the grassroots upwards, we have our level X consensus protocol. This is a simplified version of Tendermint. Level X is the default consensus protocol, but the subchains can use whatever consensus algorithm is available. And then for our private node-specific level 0 subchain, we have our level 0 on-demand consensus. Level 0 is a private chain that records all node-specific negotiations, configurations, setups, and even user chats. So it does not need to produce blocks all the time. So it only produces blocks at startup and whenever new transactions come. Most of the time, it stays in this waiting state. And when it produces a block, it transitions into this active validator state. And this algorithm from the validator state is exactly the level X algorithm. So we can even have a version of Tendermint that does the same thing, produces blocks on demand. I have set up two nodes here. I have initialized two nodes. And we are going to start them. And look at what blocks are produced on level 0. So now the chains are initialized. Each node runs Mythos and also this private level 0 chain that is being initialized here. So after the chain was initialized, it has started block production and it has finalized block with height 2. But after this, it's not going to make any more blocks. But if we send, this is also the protocol, the lobby consensus protocol that does the negotiation between these two nodes for a level 1 subchain to appear. And this lobby protocol is also a diagram, a finite state machine diagram protocol. So level 0 doesn't produce blocks anymore, but if we send a transaction, for example, a transaction that registers a genesis transaction for the level 1 subchain, we will see the transaction added to the mempool of level 0, and then immediately a block is started with height 3, and the block is finalized here. The transaction is indexed on level 0. And of course, the other node also receives this data and registers it on its level 0. And of course, if we send a transaction for this node's level 0, a block is produced here. And the level 1 chain is created. This family of on-demand consensus algorithms are great for mobile devices, and if you want to increase trust and provability, you can pair them with transactions on a remote chain that produces blocks continuously, so you can route your level 0 chain in time. You can have a variety of consensus protocols that you can test on subchains, and developing new protocols is easy. Creating chains programmatically is easy now, and anyone can create a subchain without being a developer. This is the system that we are building. A system created for decentralized collaboration and development, and created to scale at network state levels, created to provide a basis for a new human civilization rooted in the dynamic relationship between blockchain and AI, between Shiva and Shakti.